This is an example of a bad lat pull down. We're primarily using the rhomboids and the traps to pull it back.
If you've been working hard on developing your back and it's just not working, I'm going to give you 5 really good tips that will help you get that development you want. Number 1, understand the mechanics of each of the major muscle groups in the back. The lats, your traps, your rhomboids, teres major, teres minor. Once you understand biomechanically their motions and what they're supposed to do, you can perform the exercise better.
Time for Anatomy 101, the latissimus dorsi.
Okay, the motion of the latissimus dorsi, it's this triangle piece here. Its job is to pull the arm down this way, and that makes the muscle contract. So when you do a lat pull down, you're pulling your arm this way. So if you're leaning forward, you end up driving your elbow down, and now you're not utilizing the real potential of the lat. So here's how you line up. So notice how I'm all the way up against the pad. I'm gonna lift my head up. I'm gonna slightly arch my back. I'm gonna start pulling with my back just to here and back up. Notice that my elbows are driving back and they're not doing this. If you want good back development, here, be in control. All right, reason number 2, you don't have an overall plan. You know, if you want to make your back bigger, get better back development, then you need to have a plan. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to grow your back with hypertrophy, or are you just trying to get stronger? And also thinking about, you know, when I look at my back, what part of my back needs more development? My mid back, my lower back? Am I not wide enough? And the next part is not journaling and not taking progress photos. So with your back development, it's really important that you journal your workouts. How do you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? So I use a notebook like this, so I see what I did last week and I can record what I did this week. I have notes here that tell me that maybe next time I need to go up by 10 pounds or stay where I'm at. So now I have a consistent record of what I've been doing and what is working and what isn't working. So give journaling a try.
So, Hani, what have you found is an important thing about, you know, your plan and the way that you really need to work your back?
So with me, my back is a little bit more complicated because I tried to develop a better mind to muscle connection, which I've been lacking in the back department. But for me, really, I don't really change things up too much. I kind of just stick to the basics for a while. Take notes, you know, what weight am I at, what set am I at, and stick to the basics for a while until I can execute those properly. And a lot of people think that they need to switch things up all the time to see results, where that's not the case. A lot of the times, if you stick to something for a good amount of time, you see a big difference. It's just consistency with that part. Just being consistent with the same things day in and day out. And after a while, when you start to see change, then you can start to tweak some things up here and there. But honestly, I stick to the basic script. I come in with a plan. I dial everything in, whatever I have on my phone or in my notebook, whatever the case may be, and I go about my day, and I continue to do that every day.
So how long would you work a program before, or a certain routine with your back before you might say, okay, I'm not seeing the changes that I want? How do you have an idea of like how long that might be?
So typically,
months?
I pose a lot. I take pictures. I compare and contrast. I go based off of how I feel. Progress pictures are going to be your best friend. Pictures, pictures, pictures. I don't really worry about the scale too much because that doesn't really do any justice. Pictures do all the justice. After a while, if I start to feel like fatigued a little bit, I'll dial it back a little bit, maybe create another program and go right into that. I believe there's phases. You know, there's a building phase, there's a deload phase. You know, you got to play around with it, but don't be too quick to change things. You know, give your body time to try and process everything and understand what's going on.
Lesson number 2, the rhomboids.
So the rhomboids run
like this, down the side. Now, Abbie's going to contract her shoulder, pull her shoulder blades together, so it naturally draws the shoulder blade up and together, and go back down. There we go, and pull it back in. There we go. And so this is the rhomboid's job, to pull all this together.
Anatomy lesson number 3, the traps.
The traps run from up here, down to here. So they cover over the rhomboids. Now, Abbie's going to pull back into a row, and go back out. Now we see we see parts of the traps coming through. And she's using the rhomboids to pull her shoulder blades together. There we go. Do like a few quick reps. There we go.
Stay tuned for that bonus tip, and be sure to like and subscribe.
All right, reason number 3. You're not making a mind-muscle connection. And that happens because you're just throwing the weight around, you have no control over it. So to help with that mind-muscle connection, you want to use slow, controlled motions. You should try posing with that muscle after you're done with it. And you can help with the controlled motions by using lifting straps.
To make that mind-muscle connection, feel the contraction and extend the amount of time on the eccentric part of the motion. See how Abbie squeezes down at the bottom and has complete control of it on the way up. That's how you make the mind-muscle connection. Never be embarrassed to pose. You've just worked that muscle, so now you need to see what does it look like with the pump and how is it developing.
All right, part of overtraining is not knowing when to stop and not putting everything you've got onto the table. Quick story from Dave Palumbo. When he was working his back, he typically do about 12 to 16 sets. And he had a training partner with him, and after they were done their assigned workout, he would want to do some extra stuff. And Dave was saying, why you want to do this? And he said, well, I got some more in my tank. Well, that means that you didn't give your exercises everything you had. And that's really important part of when you overtrain. It's a law of diminishing returns. So set your workout pattern, give it everything you've got. Then you shouldn't have anything left in the tank. So have you seen any examples of overtraining, or have you had that problem with yourself?
Honestly, growing up in the fitness world, being new to everything, learning everything, I didn't know what overtraining was. I kind of just went with it until I didn't have any more energy left in the gym, and I would just leave. Over a time period of getting a coach, getting more serious about fitness, I started to dial it back a little bit, and I would say I still have way more energy in me. And then my coach at the time, a few years ago, say the exact same thing you had told me, is that you're not going hard enough. If you're leaving the gym with still more energy in you, or you need more hours in the gym, you're not going hard enough. So I started really taking it seriously, probably like around 2018. And honestly, I always tell people this. You shouldn't really need more than an hour max, maybe an hour and 10 minutes upper body in the gym. If you're doing 2 hours, 3 hours in the gym, just upper body, that's ridiculous. I think that's just way too much overtraining. At that point, you're not really gaining anything out. You're getting more of a loss out of it. And legs-wise, obviously you need a bigger break with legs since it's a bigger muscle group. So I'd say anywhere about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe if that, if you're adding in cardio or not. Now, from my perspective of watching people, I've trained people where, they're like, after this workout, can I work out still? And I said, well, that means you half-assed it with me. So then the next time comes around, I'm really applying pressure on them, and then after that, they're like, I'm ready to go home.
You have extra energy left over. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to lift heavier. Right. It just means that you need to work out with more intensity and more focus.
If you're getting the workouts done and your back still isn't growing, it could be because of poor nutrition. Do you really understand the 3 macros and what they do and their importance? Are you honestly getting enough protein? That could be a big reason why your back isn't growing the way you want.
So you've been busting your ass in the gym, you've been trusting the process, you give it everything you got, and you're still not growing. So what do you think a major problem with that is if you're not getting the response that you want?
Right. So I think a lot of people in today's society believe that everything is created in the gym, where they don't understand that. I always say just working out is probably 10%. The other 90% is really nutrition. And as cliche as it sounds, your abs and the goals that you want is all started off in the kitchen. A lot of people, typically what I've seen as a trainer, I see people undereat a lot. But overall, you're not going to really lose any more weight because your metabolism is still so shot from not eating enough. So what you have to do is restart your metabolism by eating a little bit more. And when people say more, it's not the quantity, it's the quantity, but it's also the quality of the food as well.
Exactly. Just adding another banana is not going to do it. So if your back is not growing, you need protein. And do not trust Instagram fitness people when it comes to setting your nutrition.
Right.
Talk to a nutritionist. Talk to somebody who does this for a living. You see a guy in the gym who's really big, and ask for help. So a lot of times you're just way under eating protein. I thought I knew how to eat big, but when I started working with my first IFBB Pro coach, boy, was I wrong. So, I see too many people eating too little protein.
Right.
And you have to have the protein to grow.
Right.
No food, no sleep, no rest, no grow.
Yep, that all aligns.
Anatomy 101, the teres system, major and minor.
The teres major and minor. The teres major and minor, they help pull the arm this way. The teres major is called the latissimus dorsi's little helper. So when you do a pullover, it's helping your arm drive down this way in this range of motion. So the pullover is a great machine to do this. So when you use this machine, you're driving down and squeezing, which is going to activate the lats, but it's also stretching out the teres system. So this is an excellent exercise to work on that part of your back.
All right, this is the bonus tip, and to me this is the most important thing. Never be afraid to ask for help. For example, my coach is Dorian Yates, and he has told me that he wishes he knew more about nutrition. This is a 6-time Mr. Olympia. He's not afraid to ask for help. And having a coach and having somebody watch you is always a good idea. Nobody knows everything. So, Hani, what do you think about, asking for help?
So I think that, I truly believe that you shouldn't be scared to ask for help. I believe that there's always something to be gained out of anything that you do. If you want to be perfect at something, or perfect at your craft, or as best as you possibly can be, then help is always needed. Even the best time, like you said, is your coach, 6-time Olympia, he's still, requiring help. So everyone needs extra help all the time. I just wouldn't feel ashamed for asking for it. I did when I was younger growing up. I would always feel embarrassed or ashamed for asking for help. But honestly, it's really there to literally help you, exactly what it does.
Yeah. And so he and I both see this all the time in the gym where we see guys, beginner lifters, and they're making mistakes that could honestly hurt themselves.
Right.
And all they would have to do is just ask a more experienced lifter for some help. And everybody here is delighted to help.
Right.
So don't ever think that asking for help is a weakness or that you should be ashamed.
The back is a large and complex muscle system. So make sure that you understand the mechanics of how the back works, that you develop a plan, you learn to make that mind-muscle connection, don't overtrain, make sure your nutrition's on point, and most of all, if you need help, ask for it. Thank you for joining us today, and a special thank you to Hani and Abbie for helping me with this video. If you have any questions, just add a comment down below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.